What's up, everybody? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 15 on my road to 2,100 pounds and my continuation on my road to 700 pounds. I am back to my normal schedule. We were in New Orleans last weekend, my wife and I, for PTA National PTA Convention. As many of you may already know, we are very involved in our kids' school, in their district, through various positions volunteer-wise, and that's the national convention that we went to. But I am back in the saddle, and this is week 15. Obviously, we got about 9 weeks left until Boss of Bosses, where I will be taking another crack at 2,100 pounds. So this week, I am going a little bit heavier. Last week was 515 for 5. This week, I've got 540 on the bar. Let's see how it looks. As you can see, I get real geared up for a lift. I don't just rush into it. First rep is always a little shaky, just getting used to the weight. Second rep, I feel pretty good. Third rep got a little slow there, but as you'll see on this next set, that third rep on the first rep was really just me getting used to the weight. No biggie. So moving on, this is set 2. Change the angle up a little bit. Sorry about the lighting in this gym. I'm still trying to get used to setting my camera up to where I can film my lifts without there being too much of a glare. There's mirrors everywhere, so it's kind of something I'm just trying to figure out. But moving on here, set 2. I got a little cramp in my leg. I'm sure some of you guys get that as well. Sometimes you can't do much about it, but I like to roll out before my lifts to try to keep that to a minimum. Very smooth, so I'm happy. I'm used to the weight and just attacking it now, making sure I get a steady pause, sorry, a solid pause and a steady press there. I'm extremely happy with how that moved. And moving on here, set 3, move the angle up a little bit again. Happy with the speed. This will be increasing a little bit each week as we get closer to the meet. I know it doesn't look like much when you're working with 540 for reps, considering what the meet numbers, what I want them to be, but that's progressive overload for you. There's no reason for me to be touching 600 pounds right now, even though I could smash that pretty much at any given point in time. That's pretty humbling, but I've worked up to that point in my training that it's not smart, obviously, to handle 600 every week, but I could. Moving on here to some weighted dips. This is body weight, which is about 285. Plus 165 in weight, and that rogue pin adds probably 5 or 10 pounds, so that's about 175 total. This is 2 sets of 8. Shoulder was messing with me a little bit, and I've never used this dip station before, so I'm trying to get used to it, trying to stay tight, which is the key. The shoulder's not bothering me to the point where it's painful, but it's just I've got some tissue in there I'm having to massage out. I either tweaked it a couple weeks back, and it's just a little nagging. It's nothing serious at all. It doesn't bother me on any of the lifts. It actually bothers me more at night when I'm sleeping. So I lay on a lacrosse ball probably once a day and just massage the heck out of it until it relaxes, and it definitely gives some relief. But it's one of the side effects definitely of heavy lifting, heavy benching specifically. But I still do my shoulder rotations pre-workout and post-workout. And then even on days that I don't lift, in my stretch bands. You can find that video if you just search James Strickland shoulder workout. You'll see how I warm up my shoulders and how I keep those healthy. Of course, anytime I have a tweak, I will definitely ice. That's my first thing. And you could definitely hit me up on Instagram at SwimHack, or you can shoot me an email for some other tips on how to keep those shoulders healthy, and definitely the pecs healthy as well. All right, so moving on, I've got some got my flies here, pec deck. This is 170 pounds and 3 sets of 15. I'm just showing 1 or 2 sets of some of these basic sets just so you guys can just see what I'm doing. These are really, really easy. This is more just to get the blood flow in there and just get a little pec work done. Feeling pretty good here. This is moving on to chest supported plate row, and I've got 205 on here and did a total of 4 sets, 6 reps each. This is pretty heavy, and I feel the weight definitely, but for 6 reps I can do this all day long. It gets a little bit strange to do more than 200 pounds just because of the amount of weight that it is, but it definitely helps keep that back happy. Moving on to the monastery extensions. Notice you guys have been commenting on these. These are definitely good for hitting those triceps right on the money. I mean, they literally, it changes it up. The dips hit the triceps, tricep rope hits the triceps. Obviously this is a variant of the tricep rope, but it really isolates. As you can see there, that one set of I believe that was 15 on that. I did 3 total sets, 12, 10, and a max, and you just saw that max set. 15 definitely gets that lactic acid built up. And moving on, last set of this bench day is the 1-arm high pulleys, and this is just a bicep exercise to hit those biceps with 80 pounds. It's just 3 sets of 6. And so wrapping up day 1 there. So moving on, day 2. This is my squat day. This was done on Tuesday this week. So Monday was my day 1. Day 2 is my Tuesday, or is my squat day on Tuesday. And I've got 570 on the bar. Was not worried about this day at all. 570 is a moderately light workout for me. I am working on low bar. As you can see, I'm still getting used to where to put the freaking chalk on my back. I'm so used to putting it up high, it's just instinct. So that wasn't even where the bar was at. But there's my low bar. You can see where my high bar is. There's definitely about a 2 to 3 inch difference there. But working on stopping at parallel and going no lower. This will definitely help me to accelerate out of the hole, building up that stretcher reflex at the bottom, and getting it ready for meet day. So keep that same form on meet day, we will not have a problem. And so that was just 2 reps real quick. Got a back down a few sets with 465 on the bar. This is 4 sets of 3 reps, speed squat, so working on really just firing off out of the hole, accelerating as fast as possible, getting that fast twitch muscle fibers firing off, and getting ready to get heavy on these squats, but we don't want to get too heavy too quick. So next week we'll actually be working with right around 600 on squats, which is still moderately light for my own lifting. But working with the Texas squat bar here is definitely changing the game for me versus using the little commercial gym, kind of the smaller bars, 45-pounder kind of spaghetti bars. They definitely have a lot of whip in them, especially with some speed squats, and that can be a recipe for disaster if you get a lot of bounce going on that bar and it whipping around. You're having to use your stabilizers just to stabilize the bar versus moving it unnecessarily. That could definitely spend a lot more energy than it's needed. But definitely shout out to Texas Power Bars for sending me these bars to use for my training. Definitely appreciate it. And after a week off, basically a week off, I didn't really take the whole week off. Last week I trained Sunday and then Tuesday, and then we took off and went out of town. I hadn't touched a weight since then. So it was a pseudo deload. We're actually starting over. We're not going to do a deload next week, which would normally be on the schedule after a week 3. Actually, real quick, I'll tell you what these are. These are the dead squats. I don't have a safety bar at this gym, so I'm just doing it with a regular bar. So it's a little strange to get in a position, but I'm setting up 3 inches above parallel, and this is 405 on the bar, doing sets of 1. I've got 4 sets here. This is just working on getting out of the hole. Really just, it's a specific lift, working on a weakness. And last thing here is, I'm sorry, not the last thing. I've got a double overhand hold. This is just working on my grip. I got a set of 425 and a set of 375 just for 15 seconds each. No big deal. Just working on the grip a little bit each day on the week. And throwing in some new stuff. This is for a little bit of hamstring work. And this is 1 leg glute bridges. And this is a little awkward getting used to it. I've got 20 reps here, 2 sets of this with 25-pound plate on my hips. Could definitely get a little higher. Like I said, it is this is a new movement for me. I haven't done these in a long time, so these will get better as we keep working on them. But obviously hamstrings are pretty much on fire with these. especially after doing squats. So this is a supplemental hamstring exercise for me, core as well. But like I was saying, the deload, I basically didn't work out at all last week. I took the week off, so coming back a little bit cold actually this week. I didn't get any blood flow work. I took the time to not make sure that I was wanted to make sure I was rested and recovered, since I am using last week as a deload. But coming off of no lifting at all actually makes it a little bit harder for me. I prefer to at least get in the gym and do some light work, unless of course I've got a meet. Then it's a whole different mindset. But in the regular training schedule, it threw me off a little bit. So this week, I'm very happy with the lifts that I've done so far, and as you'll see tomorrow on deadlifts, I'll take it, definitely chalk it up as a win. So this is my GHRs. I do not have a GHR in this gym, so I'm doing kind of a pseudo just to make sure I am firing off on those hamstrings, just using a 25-pound plate here, 3 sets of 6, and really just hitting those hamstrings as much as possible. You can do several variants of GHR. If you don't have one, you can prop your feet up underneath, maybe like your knees on a towel, and put your feet underneath an immovable object. But it's just, for me and my weight, it's easier to do it on that machine and really just focus on the hamstrings. All right, so moving on, day 3, pretty quick here. This is my shortest day of the week. Got some hammer strength overhead presses. This is 185 pounds here. I put this as an RPE 6, very light. Just getting some shoulder work in here, a little blood flow. This is 2 sets of 12. As you can see, I didn't even make an expression on my face. It wasn't even a warm-up. All right, moving on here. We've got the delt flies, rear cabled flies, and this is 40 pounds, 3 sets of 15, showing 1 set here. This really works on that rear delt, a little bit of the pec there, but mostly the rear delt. But pretty much this whole week was very, very, very easy, I would say, for the most part. Obviously, I got a little rest, but I was also a little cold, so it kind of counteracts being rested. But the bench press sets I put pretty much at like an RPE 8.5. That was the hardest set of the week, I think, just because it was the first one. I put my my squat set at an RPE 7, knowing that I could do well over 6 right now for the same amount of reps, 30 pounds more. And you'll see, obviously, for deadlifts, I put that at RPE 7 as well. You'll see that here in a minute. I did do, last week I did the same, some dumbbell benches, which is just not a heavy bench at all. This is 90 pounds, and I've got 3 sets of 20. I went ahead and knocked out 40 in 1 set because of the weight just being so freaking light for me. This is clearly just another way to get some chest work in and blood flow. This is not a workout at all. I barely broke a sweat with this. But for the longest time, I've been doing bench for 1 day a week. And it seems to be working fine. I think we're just changing it up here just so we're not getting tired of the same old routine. And definitely working with Josh Bryant as my coach. And I rely on him for his expertise, as well as he relies on my feedback, which is definitely a must in any kind of client coaching relationship. So moving on to last thing of the day is a T3 raise, holding these up top a little bit. And this is just 10 pounds, doesn't take a lot of weight. And 3 sets of 10 just to hit those shoulders one more time. And that's pretty much all it takes on this day just to get those shoulders fired up and going. Obviously, doing bench in itself is working the shoulders. Everything I've done on this particular day is working the shoulders. Just lifting in general, I'm going to hit my major muscle groups. All right, so this is day 4, last day of the week. I did this on Friday, so back to my normal schedule, like I said. Warming up with some paused squats. I don't have a squat safety bar here, so I'm using just the straight bar. This is just a power bar, 45-pound power bar, and I did them a little bit higher just to hit that and keep the shoulders healthy and the elbows. I don't want to make the wrist, elbows, and the shoulders too pissed off at me because of the low bar. This is 365. Basically, it's 5 sets of 1. Light enough that I just stood there and kind of rested at the top. Went ahead and took each set in one superset, basically, not even re-racking. But this is great for warming up the the legs, the lower body, everything to get ready to pull heavy with deadlifts. Typically what I do is after this I unrack everything, move the bar down to the floor, and I start off at 315 on deadlift, and normally do that for 1 or 2 pulls. Then I go 405 and just basically 1 to 2 pulls each, and then I keep adding until I get up to my my working weight. My working weight today, as you can see here, is 615 for a set of 2. Felt very, very easy. Show you another angle here. Same set, just 1 set of 2. Show you a front angle here. Still working on getting my my hips down just a little bit further. I didn't want to stiff leg it as much, but as you can see, I rolled a bar actually to help get into position. Not upset with that at all. I would like it to be a little more leg drive. That one I like better, but I like the speed on that. It makes me feel very confident about going up to 650 next week. So moving on here, I've got some speed deadlifts, making sure I get dead stop every single rep. So each rep is its own. There's no momentum, there's no bouncing, and that's 4 sets of 3 on speed deadlifts with 495. I wish I had a better deadlift face, but sorry guys, I don't have a pretty face when I'm lifting. I tend to stick my big old teeth out and that's how I squat and everything. It's funny because my wife calls it my sex face. She's gonna hate that I said that, but oh well, it is what it is. And don't any of you creepy guys go commenting down in the comment section. I'm married, happily married. I don't want to hear from you. So another reason why you want to definitely have a dead stop on your deadlifts is, especially if you're doing over-under, as you can tell, I am not flexing that bicep at all. If I were to do not to do dead stop, there's definitely some room for me to accidentally flex that bicep, but I don't want to do that. Skipped over that head supported row. It was pretty quick. I did 3 sets of 5 with 255, no big deal. Suitcase deadlifts here with 165, 2 sets of 2. And a lot of you guys ask me how much back I do. Obviously, if you watch this recap and go back, you could see the head supported rows, the chest supported rows. There's lat pull downs tomorrow, these Meadows rows. I mean, there's a lot of back, so definitely work on the back. So these Meadows rows is 185 pounds, and actually I believe that I may have missed an extra plate on there, but if you calculate the bar, I'm definitely lifting 185 plus. But I should have tacked on a 5-pound onto that, but not that big of a deal. And so I've got let's see, 3 sets of 5. These are actually pretty tough, just because of the angle and because you're really having to use your core to stabilize. I like to make sure that I'm not moving the rest of my body and really focusing on my arm, moving that to my back and moving that out. But the form always that with this much weight tends to kind of break down a hair. You can see it doesn't look too bad there. As the sets go on, I get a little warmer and it fixes itself. But these I definitely want to keep strict. There's a lot of things that you don't want your shoulder doing too much work here, and you don't want to be slamming that weight down and having it bounce around. I like to strap up just because that bar is hard to hold with the grip, and it definitely keeps me from thinking about my grip slipping with this kind of weight. Keeps it all one piece. Finishing up here. All right, so after this, I'm going to be moving on to the neutral grip lat pull downs. Figured I'd skip ahead a little bit, but that's 240, pretty heavy. Not an RPE 10 or anything like that, but definitely heavy on the close grip, especially being at the end of the week. Energy is a little bit lower than obviously the beginning of the week. Another back exercise that was 3 sets of 8 on the neutral grip lat pull downs, which you'll see in just a second. But overall, very happy with this week. This is actually probably the best week that I've had in this training cycle. One being the fact that we're getting a little heavier, which who doesn't like to get a little heavier? but you got to do it in a smart way. You got to do it with a plan. Definitely being 9 weeks out from the meet, there's no reason to go super heavy, you know, and hurt yourself before the meet or peak too early. The other thing is just feeling the weight. I was kind of rushed last week, and you know, was not feeling real happy about having to rush through my workouts on a daily basis so that we could get out of town. But you got to do what you got to do to sometimes fit your workouts in. All right, so last thing of the day here is static holds, and this is with my ring finger and my thumb, and then another set with my pinky and my thumb. Each one is 20 seconds rest, I'm sorry, 20 seconds hold. The pinkies were quite hard. You can see I'm rubbing my my pinky finger a little bit there, just because I haven't done these in a while, and of course taking a week off, the grip, at least that particular part of it, starts to feel a little weaker. But not a big deal at all. I definitely work on these so that my deadlift grip is never an issue. I have yet to have a problem with grip being a detrimental piece of my deadlift, and I don't want to get to the point to where I get, you know, potentially 800 pounds at lockout and then have my grip give out. I've had calluses tear. As you saw last week, I had a callus tear, but I don't want a major tear. I definitely don't want something I can't fix up and patch up within a few days and be back at it. If I have to, I'll definitely use straps, but I want to train the way that I'm going to compete. If I'm not worried about my grip, then I can worry about my lift. So if I'm doing this once a week, it definitely helps keeping my my weakest link, which on most people is your pinky and your ring finger. Those are your weakest fingers on your grip. And so if you're working on that particular specific spot, you will make those tendons and those muscles stronger in that point, and it will actually keep those fingers together on the bar while you're doing a deadlift. So something to think about in your own training. And everything that I'm doing in these videos is tailored to my training. So if you guys ever have any questions about things, don't assume that what I do will work for you at your point in training. At some point in time, I'm sure it will. But I put these videos out so you guys can follow my road to 2100 and road to 700. I don't want to advocate that everything that I'm doing would work for you at your specific point in time, but it's definitely worth a shot. I say try everything at least once, and then see what you can do from it. But this video is almost a wrap for this week. Next week I'm going a little bit heavier. I'm pretty excited about things. Weight is holding steady. But I think we've passed 5,200 subscribers, which is about a 5,000 subscriber increase from the beginning of this year. That's less than 6 months. So I want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel, and if you haven't yet, please do. I will try to put out as good of information that I can. I am very humbled that I am in this position to be able to put this information out there to you guys. I definitely have room to grow myself, as I think we all do, but I want to thank you all for subscribing and tuning in, and I want to invite you to like and subscribe if you haven't, and please find me on Instagram at SwimHack, and I will see you guys in the gym or next week or at a meet or wherever you want to find me at, and shoot me an email at swimhack@gmail.com if you have any questions. Thanks a lot, guys.